Yeah, before we get started, I'm just gonna bring this up. Brian Cox is apparently in fucking everything. Watching his movies is like a fucking landslide. You recognize him in one thing and then you recognize him in everything else. One time, on accident, I watched 3 Brian Cox movies in a row. Like I said, it was an accident. I didn't know he was in these movies. It just kind of happened. The movies were Zodiac, Braveheart, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. They have nothing to do with each other, except for the fact that Brian Cox is in all of them. In case you don't know, Braveheart is about the Scottish rebellion against the British Empire. The film follows William Wallace as he attempts to rid the Scottish civilians of Britain's tyranny. Not only does he do this because the civilians have been raped and stolen from their home by the British, he also does this to get vengeance from the wrongful death of his wife. In this movie, you not only hope the Scots win, but you hope they annihilate the British. This is done by the opening purely being about loss in the village. About how the British pillaged their land, they are stealing people. Pretty much the opening is just a showcase of loss. The film is from '95, so of course the movie is going to look crystal clear. To me, that actually aids the film, because not only do you know that it's real, but it feels more raw. Like, for the battle scenes, you know that the hundreds of people that were on screen were actually there. You don't get this effect in most modern movies. The film builds relationships quickly. For example, William's father only has one scene in the movie, but this scene establishes his bond with his son, and it also gives a feeling of loss and sadness for his death. However, because of the shortness of his part in the movie, you know that the movie isn't going to be about him solely. Contrasted to that, with Wallace's wife. She has a few more scenes in the movie, but still not that much. However, the added scenes create more of a connection between Wallace and her, more of a driving point of the story. Because she has little scenes, there is a feeling of loss. I guess the best way to describe it is that you feel that their time was short and that you can't really draw any negatives from their time together, which is most likely how Wallace felt about her. The way the film builds suspense is, in my opinion, fantastic. How the film does it is the film slows down and has ominous music. This is nothing very special, but the film does it frequently enough so that every time it happens, you know something will happen. Whether or not the screen doesn't really have anything going on with it at the moment it starts, but as soon as the effect starts, you just know something's going to happen. The cinematography in this movie is fantastic. It not only shows how big Scotland is, but shows how beautiful the terrain is. Battles in this movie keep on getting bigger and bigger. They start out small with closed areas surrounded by buildings, and then move up progressively to bigger and bigger areas, such as fields and bigger fields, I guess. Yes, this is good because it not only makes the movie progressively grander, but it also shows how the Scottish rebellion is growing. The movie depicts violence in a way that really no other movie has. For example, in battles, the British are shown being decapitated, limbs getting chopped off, and them being castrated. But the Scots, they don't really focus on the violence. Whenever Scott gets killed or dismembered, something was always blocking it. For instance, when William's wife has her throat slit, it gets blocked. But when William slits the throat of the man who killed her, you see it. All in all, I think this movie is great. It does a lot of things that no other movie has, and it makes the story meaningful. It brings history to life, essentially. Even though it might not be that accurate, it does bring meaning to this event. The motherfucker. battle in the scene, the battle, in the battle scenes, you obviously hope that the Scots will win. God damn it. The